Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Everyone tells you to prioritize, but it's not so easy to decide what to prioritize. I'm hoping that the following self-inventory will help. There are 168 hours in a week, so for example, if you sleep 8 hours a night, you're awake for 112 hours a week. How many hours would your wisest self allocate to each of the following activities? And you can maybe write them down if you feel like it, and then adjust to had it all add up to 112 or whatever. If you sleep 7 hours a night, I think you're awake something like I don't know, 119 or something like that. Anyway, first item, paid work. Now only count the hours that you'd want to actually be working or doing work-related studying. So don't count water cooler chatting or lunch or playing on the net during the workday. As you're deciding how many hours to allocate to paid work, recognize that different people value work differently. Some do the least they can get away with and still manage to be self-supporting. On the other end of the continuum, some people work as much as is feasible. Those kind of folks believe that the life well led is primarily defined by the amount of their contribution, even if it's to a small sphere of influence. So, how many hours a week of real work do you want to allocate to paid work? Next category is volunteer work. In addition to the standard volunteer work, like at Planned Parenthood or your child's school, don't forget about time you'd want to spend volunteering to help, say, a neighbor or a family member. Also include domestic activities for your family. Cooking, cleaning, and parenting. By the way, parenting's importance has been given a recent boost by new research that was just reported in the New York Times. That research indicates that involved parenting, and I mean authoritative parenting, but not authoritarian parenting, can boost their child's achievement, emotional and physical health, and decrease substance abuse. So how many hours do you want to, on a typical week, want to devote to volunteer work? Next category is relationships. Apart from parenting, which I just mentioned, how much time in a typical week would the wise you want to spend with or in finding a romantic partner and or with a platonic friend or relative? Or friends, it could be, of course, more than one. So how many hours a week in a typical week would you like to devote to relationships? Next category is creative outlets. Many of my clients and my friends and me derive great satisfaction from creative outlets, like creating these videos for you. Yet life's exigencies, they're kind of the pressing requirements, often push creative activity to the back burner. How many hours in a typical week would the wise you allocate to one or more creative activities, for example, writing or performing art or visual art? Okay, write down that number of hours. Other recreation. Now these could include sports, crafts, video games, TV reading for fun, and so on. How many hours a week in a typical week would you want to allocate to that? How about personal maintenance? That would include things like exercise, taking care of your hair, which obviously I don't have to spend much time doing, makeup, clothes shopping, meeting medical needs, and so on. The next category is spiritual. So how many hours a week do you want to kind of, in general, allocate to personal maintenance? Then spirituality. Although a study reported in Scientific American finds that no religion is the fastest growing religion, many people want more spirituality and community than secular humanism provides. So how many hours a week would you like to devote to spirituality activities? And finally, an other catch-all category. Other than what I've covered above, in the previous few minutes here, in a typical week, is there something else on which your wise self would spend significant time? And if so, what is that? And roughly, on a typical week, how many hours would you devote to that? So, now, review the hours you've allocated in your target week, and I'm sure in writing them, you probably didn't all add up to exactly the right number of hours that you're awake, but adjust it a little bit. As you review those hours as you allocated in your target week, do you want to make any changes now? Or, if this isn't the right time, when do you think you might want to? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope it's helpful. Feel free to subscribe. There's a button, I guess, below there, and to like and comment and all those, share and all those good things. Any of those that you feel so inclined to do. But anyway, I certainly thank you for watching. In any event, I'm Marty Nemko.